Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. We are Monazi, aka Sandra and Timo, and today we're going to talk about our toilet.
Our beloved Nature's Head toilet has been with us for our 1.5 years traveling on the road, and today we want to share with you our thoughts, our pros and cons about this toilet, and actually a one-on-one on how to use it. So if you're thinking of buying this toilet, you can have a bit more information before you make your final decision.
So, part 1, how to use the toilet. Part 2, pros and cons after traveling with it for 1.5 years. Let's dive into it. Today we want to show you how to handle the Nature's Head toilet. We're actually going to show you how to reset it, how to do a new compost in the back for the number 2s, because this toilet separates number 1 from number 2. Number 1 is fairly easy. You open the toilet, you get the tank out, empty it, done. The back is a bit more tricky, and we're gonna spare you all the ugly details, don't worry. Without further ado, let's dig right into it. First things first, you open the toilet. I think it's really helpful if you don't wear any loose clothes, because it could get dirty. So this is the toilet open. All you see here is just coconut soil, and the first step would be to actually detach the top from the bottom. So you just slide out the toilet here on the back, and then you have the upper part, and you can just put it aside. We don't need it for now. So what we have here now, number 2 compartment, which you can't see luckily, but actually it doesn't look too bad. It's just like humid soil, and the front is just the number 1 container, which you can just take out and empty, which is also fairly easy. Before we start with the cleaning part of the section here, we always make sure that we have the following items on hand: some gloves, a big trash bag, some toilet paper, the new coconut soil, and a bucket, in our case a foldable one, where you can actually prepare the new coconut soil. It is also handy to have some water access with the hose, so you can just rinse it down. But honestly, most of the times we do the toilet off-grid, so we don't really have the access to running water with the hose. And actually we also heard it's not too bad to leave the bacteria culture in the toilet, so it composts a little better. Okay, the first step is to actually empty the compartment. So you put the trash bag on top, and then I always make sure that the bag is nice and tight, because I already had the problem that I didn't hold it tight enough and then some things came out at the side. You don't want that, so keep it nice and tight. Make sure that the trash bag is wrapped around it, and then you actually just have to flip and shake. So now I would say the compartment is actually already 90% empty. There are just some sticky things around the metal thing inside to compost it, to mix it. And I'm just gonna take it away with the toilet paper. You can also use the gloves, but actually it doesn't look so bad, so I think I don't need them today. Let's see. The light is slowly leaving us, it's getting cold, so let's hurry up. The compartment is empty now and relatively clean. It looks good. And now it's time to break down this coconut soil, to put it inside of here. Probably you can see here on the sides, on the corners, is a little bit of coconut soil left, which is not too bad. I think you should once in a while clean it down very, very good, which we did actually the load before that. But for now that's okay, we just renew the soil. As a little tip, we used to buy this coconut soil on the website of Nature's Head and also sometimes on Amazon. But actually it turned out that it's cheaper and easier to just buy it in a plant shop. So far we had the best experience by buying it there. So now we have to break down the coconut soil. First of all, we have to get it out of the packaging. So this is the coconut soil. Always looks a bit different. Sometimes they are thicker and smaller. This one is quite thin. So now we have to break it down, and I always use a knife, because it's very tough to break it when it's dry. So the best way is to actually just go right in from the top or from the side and try to make it thinner so you can break it down, because otherwise it's really difficult to break the coconut soil down. And for me, this is what works. If you have a better way, let me know in the comment section below. And now the pieces come off and you can make it smaller. So now I sliced them in thinner pieces, and now it's actually fairly easy to just break them in smaller pieces. So you do this with all the pieces, make them smaller, and repeat this process until there's no big piece left. So this is where the magic begins. We need some water to activate the coconut soil, and actually it's much easier to break it down once it's wet. You might see that it expands, but I think you can't see it so much here. So now it gets a bit messy, but you see it breaks down to the soil. So you do it till it's very fine. And don't do it too wet, because you want the coconut soil to absorb the moisture from your number 2s, so be careful with the water. So this is how the coconut soil looks now, nice and fluffy, broke down, and then you just have to put it in the toilet, and then you're pretty much done. And now you just have to add the soil. Coconut soil is renewed. It's time to put the toilet back together, so that means we emptied that in an appropriate space here. We had a campground at the moment. Number 1 for number 1s, and the top, you hook it back in. And now the throne is ready for new adventures. It's actually quite easy, fairly quick. Let's put it back into the van.
So this is part 2 of the video, our review, our pros and cons about the Nature's Head toilet, and we're gonna begin with our pros.
The first pro we have is that the toilet has relative low maintenance. Okay, the pipi tank you actually have to empty every maybe 2-3 days for 2 people, but for the number 2s the compartment is quite spacious. That means you don't have to empty it very often, and it's overall not much to do with this toilet. So that's an absolute pro. If you're on the road, you don't have to worry about emptying it all the time and cleaning it all the time.
I think the baby tank is like 5 liters.
Yeah, it's around 5 liters.
So of course it depends how often you go to your toilet. If you're out all day and you go other places, if you use it full time, but you get the point. Another pro about the toilet is that it is biodegradable waste, which means pee-pee is pee-pee. You can pretty much
number 2 is number 2.
put it anywhere. And the number 2, as you probably already saw, is mixed with the coconut soil, which is pretty much just like compost that is used for any garden or anything like that. All you have to do is buy your compostable bags, put the whole thing together and put it in the organic trash. So it's actually super easy and you can get rid of it pretty much anywhere.
That means you save a lot of money and time driving to campgrounds, emptying your chemical toilet. And that also brings us already to the next point, to the next pro. This toilet is completely free of chemicals. One other great thing, so you don't inhale or have to handle any substances that are not natural. That's a big pro point for this toilet, and you don't have to work with chemicals.
Which in our case is quite important because we try to avoid as much as possible. And also this bleachy smell, it's just not very nice when you live in such a small space. It's probably toxic and not good for you, so great point. The next pro we have on our list is actually a pretty big one for us, because something we love about this toilet is that it looks and feels like a regular toilet. It's shaped like a regular toilet, it has the height of a regular toilet, the lid, everything. It just feels like you have no compromise in there, because some of them are a bit smaller, like a square box kind of thing. And I don't know, I could imagine that you have to like maybe squat a bit too much. This feels just like you're at home. And this is pretty cool. We like that.
It was definitely an easy adjustment coming from a house and then going full-time van life to adjust with this toilet. So that's an absolute pro. Well done. Another great thing about this toilet that it is super easy to install. You basically just put it wherever you want to have it. You mount it, you connect the ventilation system, and that's pretty much it. So it's really, really easy to install the toilet, which is also another great point, because if you build a van, you know that every project that requires less time is a nice project, because you're already busy all the time building stuff. So that's very pleasant to install this toilet in your van.
And the last point on our pro list is that the toilet overall is really nice and really well built. It's nice quality. You can really tell that after using it every day for 1.5 years, driving around, you know, like it's been through a lot, and the toilet is in perfect condition. And we really appreciate that, because it's an investment that is not done cheaply or like with plastic stuff. Is all the hinges and connections are really nicely done. All the silicone sealing processes, everything is just really steady and really durable, which is something we really appreciate after investing money in a toilet.
So now we are coming to the cons. The first con we have for this toilet is the size, because this toilet is quite big. So if you don't have a lot of space, this could be an issue, and this could be a con if you have space issues. So keep in mind that this toilet is quite bulky.
Some other options in the market are much smaller and kind of like in a box kind of shape. So in our case, we had the space for it, and we, as we mentioned in the pros one, liked that it actually looked and felt like a normal toilet. But if you don't have the space for it, definitely, yeah, it's a big boy. When you get this toilet, you'll see that it actually has 2 vents on the sides, and you have the option to mount this to the outside of the car so that you have ventilation coming in and out in your number 2 compartment. We actually decided not to do another hole in the van, and we didn't have a vent, which is okay, but you must keep in mind, if you also decide to go on this route and not connect the vents, when it is hot outside, the humidity that accumulates in this compartment gets kind of trapped and can't go out, so it gets a bit steamy, and this could cause some issues here and there. So keep in mind that in hot climates, this could be an issue.
There's actually another reason why we didn't connect the vent to the toilet, because the thing is that we had to take the toilet out of the space that we built for the toilet, and we wanted to be flexible on where we place it in the van, especially at night. If we would have connected it, it would have been a bit difficult to move it around, so we decided to not do it. Which brings me to the next point. We moved this toilet around within the van quite a lot, and also if you empty the toilet, you have to take it out of the van to actually empty it. And let me tell you, if the compartments, both compartments, are full, the toilet gets really heavy. So keep in mind, if you have any back issues or you don't want to carry a heavy toilet around, this could be a con for you. Most of the times you don't have to carry the toilet very far away from the van, but it could happen. And also you have the option to empty it maybe a bit earlier and keep the weight a bit lighter, but it can get very heavy. And this is one con we discovered on our journey.
So as you probably know by now, this toilet separates liquids from solids, and the PP tank, which is in the front, it's really easy to empty. You just have to open the thing, take the thing out and empty it. No problem there. However, the exit of the PP is not really big, and it's quite hard to actually give it a proper clean unless you have like a super powerful hose, or like one of these high pressurized kind of thing. You can't really access so easily. So unless you have these things, it's actually quite hard to give it a proper clean, which can lead to having pee stains or not keeping it as clean as you would like. For our case, we were off-grid a lot of the times, and we would empty this in a grey spot or whatever, and they don't have any water systems in there. So this actually could be a bit annoying. So we recommend that maybe you have some products with you to clean it, like some vinegar, or some oils, or perhaps a little brush or something that could help you, because just by emptying the tank, it's not actually cleaned properly. So keep that in mind.
For the next point, we're going to talk about the toilet paper, which you can actually put into the number 2 compartment, but we would not recommend it because it will fill up very quickly. So what you most likely have to do is to put those papers into a trash, which could be a bit gross if you've never done this before, or a bit uncomfortable. We actually didn't have a big problem adjusting to that, but keep in mind that you might have to do that. So this is maybe something uncomfortable when we talk about toilet paper with this toilet.
What happened to us is that actually when we went to normal toilets or normal houses, we don't know where to put the toilet, and we're like, here you go. Our next con here is actually one that can be a bit of an issue, and we've heard of it online, and we actually only experienced it once. But when we were talking about being in hot climates and you have that humidity in your number 2 compartment, you're in a very small space, and if you're like us, that we have 5 kilos of bananas hanging around, fruit flies become a problem. You have them in your van because of your fruit and stuff, and they can smell that something is happening, so they might be around your toilet. And also, we've heard that some coconut blocks had some sort of insects already within them, so it could happen that when you open your compartment, there's some kind of fruit fly, little bug thing flying around. This doesn't happen very often. We didn't have this problem more than once.
I think we had it once in the Canary Islands, where we had some flies somehow making their way into the compartment. but normally it was not really an issue, but it could happen.
Yeah, so keep it in mind and try to avoid perhaps having very ripe fruits during hot times in the van to avoid fruit flies in your toilet.
So the message here is don't keep the fruits next to the toilet. And the last point for the con list is that the top part of the toilet, so the actual seating area, it's a bit difficult to clean from the inside. So as you could see in the part before, that you can detach the top part where the seat is from the bottom part where the number 2 compartment is and where also the number 1 container is. You can actually take this one off and clean it properly. The thing is that with this toilet you should actually never clean it down really well with chemicals, because the bacteria culture in there is good for the composting process. But once in a while it's not a bad idea to actually clean the toilet properly. So the thing is, if you clean the top side from the inside, there are so many little corners and parts in between that it becomes really difficult to really access all those parts. I can remember it was quite a mission to really get all the coconut soil out, because even though it's on the top, you sometimes get a bit of soil there and then it gets really tough to clean. So that's something that was a bit annoying when you did a proper clean with this toilet. So this is the end of the video. We gave you 7 pros and 7 cons for this toilet. We hope we could actually help you making a decision on that.
After all, we use this toilet every day, several times a day, and we do not regret getting a toilet. We cannot imagine van life without a toilet in the van, especially for this one that has to pee like 4 times during the night. Overall, we are quite happy with this purchase, and as Timo said, we hope we were helpful with our personal experiences with the Nature's Head toilet. As always, if you made it this long into the video, we thank you for watching and supporting our channel, and we ask you to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you have to, and we will see you in our next video.
Bye bye!
Bye!